Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if you all will turn on your cameras, we'll go ahead and get started. Kurt's ready. We're already here, so.
Okay, the looks like the first order, Paula Schumacher, Chair, the first order of business is to approve the minutes from October 15th, 2021 board. If you're online, we can click on that link and it will bring up the minutes. We take a few minutes to look them over if there's any questions, and then we'll take a motion. Paula Schumacher, Chair. Do we have any questions or corrections? Not seeing any. Do we have a motion to accept the minutes as they are?
Marta Schwartz, Vice Chair. I motion to approve minutes.
Do we have a second? Paula Schumacher, Chair.
Allison Dischinger, second.
Okay, it looks Paula Schumacher, Chair. The minutes are approved with no corrections.
Board Schumacher, you'll need to take a vote on that. We had a first and a second, but we'll need to ask everyone to vote aye or nay on that.
Correct. Missed that part. Thank you. Paula Schumacher, Chair, if we could all vote one at a time. I'll call on you and then you can vote. Allison Dischinger?
Aye.
Kimberly McDonald?
Aye.
Marta Schwartz Calderon?
Aye.
And I believe we don't have Todd. So that would be a unanimous. The ayes have it. So the motion passes to accept the minutes. The second item that we have is to receive the Bodywork Practitioner licensure report. Again, if you click on the presentation button, hyperlink, we can see that updates to the code. And then if you scroll down to the second page, it gives a list of 169 active licenses, 111 renewals, 4 denied, 3 closed, 53 expired, 1 revoked, and 3 withdrawn. Total license process, 233. Do we have any discussion on that?
I have a question. Hi, what is a withdrawn when someone withdraws a license?
So that can be for a variety of reasons. It might be because they did not meet the qualifications. Eliza might be able to provide, more specifics on those 3.
I'd have to look back specifically at those. I know there were ones where before I took this position that they had applied and then decided not to move forward with the license for whatever reason.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
And it might mean that they've applied, and once they better, they submitted the application, and then when they better understood the qualifications or perhaps the type of work they were doing didn't need it. It can really be for a variety of reasons, but it's generally they don't meet the qualifications or the fee. Perhaps they just decided, especially in the last few years, we've, with the pandemic, we've had individuals apply and then, decide it wasn't the right time to get licensed.
Okay, thank you, everybody.
Paula Schumacher, Chair. Any other comments? And I would like to say, Todd, I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were there in person.
Yeah, I just showed up a little late.
No worries.
Yeah, we're happy to provide any other information that you all wanted on the license. We just, since implementation was 4 years now, I think we're almost at the 4-year mark or around the 4-year mark. It's fully implemented. Everybody, most people understand what's going on. So we're primarily dealing with renewals. So there's not a lot of, initially we were reporting on some of the issues that we had with businesses that maybe didn't have the requirements needed, but we really aren't having a lot of those issues in the last couple of years.
Paula Schumacher, Chair. Could we have a little discussion on if we would like to see this report or maybe a report that shows kind of like the yearly numbers so that we see if there's any trends? Would that be of interest to anybody?
I think that, I'm Marta Schwartz, Vice Chair. I think that this is a good starting point, and maybe occasionally we get an update, maybe a yearly update would be a good idea. It is interesting to know how many active licenses there are. I think that's important to know how many practitioners, especially if something comes up where we actually need some help or some feedback with things. We know how big the pool of practitioners is. I think maybe a yearly update might be good, useful. Or like I said, if something is going on that's really pressing that requires that this number would be really good to know about the active licenses.
So if you're interested in, we can certainly do that. And I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, but what you were looking at is maybe more like in, year 1, here's how many active, year 2. So we could see the years, you could see the years compared to each other to see if we're having more in the, more applicants or by year. Is that more in line with what you were wanting?
Paula Schumacher, Chair. I asked for that, but I think I heard just Marta saying it'd be nice to just have this yearly where you're just saying that. I didn't really hear anybody comment that it'd be nice to kind of see each year just to see how things change over the years.
Allison Dishinker, board member. I'd like to understand the different categories. If we have 169 active licenses, but only 111 renewals, does that mean that's 50? I didn't do the math. 53 expired and a few were denied. Or are we going to go through that in the presentation?
I can respond to that. The 169 active licenses, that's how many we have active right now. Of those 169, 111 of them are renewal status. Does that make sense? So they've been in,
okay.
They've had their license for more than 2 years.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah. The 53 that expired are ones that did not renew.
Paula Schumacher, Chair. So you're saying that there's 169 and the 53 is not a subset. Those would have been in addition. So we could have been over 200, except for the 4 denied, 3 closed, 53 expired, revoked, and 3 withdrawn. Okay.
Yes. The 111 is a subset of the active licenses. That's just how many that were of a renewal status when we pulled the active licenses.
Paula Schumacher, Chair. Could you maybe redo the bullets just so that we have like the active licenses with the renewals underneath it, and then the ones that are no longer active with those items underneath it, so that it breaks it out a bit clearer?
Sure.
So I guess the inactive licenses would be the 4, 3, 53, 1, and 3 with a total. Would that be okay?
Sure.
We can definitely do that.
Thank you.
Allison Dishinker, board member. What does closed mean?
So if someone withdraws a license, meaning they communicate with us, but if somebody applies and we communicate with them several times that we needed more information and we don't hear back after a certain period of time, we can no longer contact them, they're not responding, then we just have to close out the license. We just like to show the difference between a withdrawn license and a closed license.
Okay, thank you. That makes sense.
When we start in our licensing system, it shows open. And so then once we've, added any information, a name, anything in that system, we then have to, we update the status as it moves through the process. And we don't like to just leave those open for, an extended period of time. And we put a lot of effort into reaching out to people and trying to make sure we understand what's going on, but sometimes people just don't ever respond back. And at a certain point, we have to close those out.
Paula Schumacher, Chair. So they expired. Have you tried to contact them, and they've just expired and said maybe like, yeah, I moved out of the area, as opposed to the closed where you don't hear from them?
Right. The difference between those are if I am an active licensee and it's time for renewal, and we send you a renewal and we continue to reach out to you about that renewal and you don't respond, then your license expires. If you have reached out to apply for a license or provided some information for us to start the license process and then never respond, then that is a closed license because it was never active. Is that clear?
That is, I think Paula Schumacher, Chair, maybe, we have enough white space. It might be helpful for us if you can just kind of put it in a few words what each one represents. It might help us on our questions going forward, because I know I'm going to forget this by the time we see it again in a year. Thank you.
Yes, we can definitely do that. I know the last time we met, and it's been a while since we've met, this is something we provided before, I think when Stephen Lemons was still the deputy clerk, and we were asked to bring it back. But definitely we can start to break this information out to tell a better story for you all the next time we bring it.
Paula Schumacher, Chair. I work in IT. I'd almost asked you for a process flow, but I'm okay. Paula Schumacher, Chair, do we need a vote then, Sherry, to ask for this yearly or not?
No, that's not necessary. We'll make sure that we start providing that once a year. We really, since you all are meeting quarterly, could even, have something on a quarterly basis if you'd like.
You guys?
Kim Keller or Kim McDonald, Kim Keller McDonald. If we're looking for a trend, if we wanted to know about trends, that would be a good way to start. I don't know, Marta had said yearly. would be a good idea. But if we wanted to start, if that option is open, if there's going to be enough difference to see anything change quarterly, that would be a good way to start. If not, we would probably best just to start yearly and seeing, because then we need that breakdown quarterly as well. So I don't know how much work that would be involved in doing that for you.
I would say it might not show trends on a quarterly basis. We don't, I mean, a lot of our licenses, these licenses currently renew about the same time, or at least a majority of them do, based on, you know, when we implemented it, everyone that was here came in at the same time. Although it might just help you will get a better sense of the reporting and what we do if we do it at the next couple of meetings, just to start looking. It might you can give us some input back on what you do and don't like about the report, so we can get it to a better state. So that might be an option too, and then see if it's something that annually is enough. I mean, it's certainly something we can go through quickly. We're just talking about one license here. And we could maybe even break that down by the different types of, whether it's massage, the different classifications that we have. So it might be worth doing at least at our next one, so we can start your next meeting to see if it's what you want. So
Schumacher Chair. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, at least for the next meeting or two, just so we get it kind of to a point where everybody likes the report and it provides the info that we think is helpful. I mean, one thing I was thinking is the trends is just not necessarily the active licenses, although if they started to trend downward, it might be an indication of if there's an issue of, you know, body workers not feeling comfortable in the city or something, I don't know, or, you know, denied or revoked licenses. If there was a trend that, you know, maybe we would want to inquire as to, you know, was there a particular thing that was, you know, causing people to not be able to get licenses, if there was something, and then we could maybe be a bit more proactive answering it quarterly or yearly, I guess. I mean, there aren't huge numbers though, so I think that would be great.
we'll make sure and have that on the next agenda then.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. Do we since I'm new, I'm just trying to get an idea. Did we have an idea of numbers before the pandemic and what happened during the pandemic, and then since we're doing an uptake with things moving through, and we're I wouldn't necessarily saying we're post-pandemic, but does anybody have that information as well? If that's something that we're even keeping tabs on, is that even an interest in anybody?
Paula Schumacher Chair, it might be nice if we had the history of it from the beginning, that we were collecting data. If we could go retroactive, that might be nice to see.
Okay. I just wondered because the fact that Lawrence is growing fairly fast, and with us becoming more larger and just more active as a community, it'd be interesting to see how many more licensed and how many more bodywork licensed they're going to be in the next 2 to 4 years. And on top of that too, you're going back to the possible withdrawn license or denied license, and wondering also too, going back to the causes to that, if that's continued education on the licensors' part, if they're not getting what they're needing, there's resources for that as well. It's talking about anatomy and other things that are happening that is that's their responsibility to get.
Allison Dishinger, board member, we don't have a continuing education requirement in the city licensure on purpose because we license so many different types of practitioners.
Okay, good to know. Thank you.
So that's not I can tell you that that's not a reason why we would deny people a license.
Okay.
Renewal. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
we can certainly bring back that information. We can pull reports. We'll by year. We can do it based on renewal dates and application dates to get a better sense of that. So you can see that, what was happening, how many active licenses and how many people were applying a year, over the last 4 years, because that's all we have the data for, which might give you a sense of the pandemic's impact on that. And then you also be able to watch that over the next couple of years too. So we'll do whatever. We'll definitely look at the reporting capabilities that we have. The system's somewhat limited, but I think we can get to what all you are. We can get to what you're looking for.
Paula Schumacher, Chair. Yeah, just a spreadsheet. Would be great. Okay, the next order of business then is old business. Is the City Commission adopted the 2022 City of Lawrence Legislative Priority Statement. Ken, if you click on that link, it'll bring it up, and it's on page 3. If you scroll down, there's some interesting things in there, but on page 3 under Safe and Secure, it's the second item. Support for statewide legislation regulating bodywork professionals.
This was something we just wanted to put on here because after we had discussed it, we haven't met, and the legislative priority statement went out, and we just wanted to make sure that you all, were aware that we did include it using the statement that had been, drafted previously, but then updated based on the current, what had been currently going on in the legislature. So really no action item, just wanted to make sure that we shared that since we haven't met since we last had a conversation about it.
Paula Schumacher, Chair. Thank you, Sherry. That's very nice.
Marta Schwartz, Vice Chair. Does anybody know, is this, I know the most recent thing was that this is having any statewide licensure in Kansas is pretty well, is it dead this year? I know they were unsuccessful for many reasons a few months ago, but is it just completely not an option this year?
Allison Dischinger, board member. As far as I know, it is not going to happen this year at the state level.
Thank you.
Okay, our next would be concerns board member items of interest. I would just say welcome on board, Kim. And does anybody have any new business or any other comments? If we don't have any other items, then if I could have a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Before we do that, can I just ask, can I just make sure that no one has anything aside from the report that you'd like to see on the agenda for the next meeting? Thank you.
Sure.
Allison Dischinger, board member, can you remind me the date of the next meeting, please?
Eliza, can you?
Since this is an odd date that we're.
Yes.
I'm glad we got together, but.
It would probably be good to go ahead and go back through those next.
Hold on, I have to.
Oh, could we, Allison Dischinger, board member, could we just real quick refresh? Because I know that my commission expires at some point this year, so.
What do you want to refresh on?
Well, just what the next quarter meetings will be.
It looks like June, I believe, the 17th, 2:00.
And we can send an email with those dates too, calendar invites to you all, just so it's on your calendars.
Good.
That'd be great. Thank you.
Allison Dishinger, board member, does that mean that the first fall one is 16th September? Is that correct? 3 months later?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
September 16th. And then December, correct?
I think it's January.
January.
But we'll get them, we'll get the dates on, because we'll need to schedule the meetings in our agenda management system, and then we'll just send invites so they're all on your calendars.
Paula Schumacher, Chair. If there's no other new or old business, could I have a motion to end the meeting?
Marty
Oh,
Schwartz
oh.
here. I motion to end the meeting.
Allison Dishinger, second.
Okay, we're going to vote now. Allison Dishinger, yay or nay?
Yay.
Kimberly McDonald, yay or
Yay.
nay?
Yay.
Marta Schwartz Calderon,
Yay.
Todd Wyant,
Yay.
Paula Schumacher, yay. Motion carries with yays. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.